Welcome to No Prize Podcast. I am the professor. That's Lucas. That's Johnny. How is everybody doing today?
It is, professor. It is the first week of October. First week of official time, the freaking Oktoberfest. First week where you can start putting your pumpkins out and everything. Mead is going to be a thing. I've got wine tastings and galore to go to this week, so let's get it going.
You know that when you do the wine tasting, Lucas, you're supposed to spit the wine back out, right? You know you can't just...
Don't tell my wife that, man. Gotta let her drive every once in a while.
You spit the wine out?
Yeah. You don't drink the wine at the wine tasting.
Oh, well, then what's the use?
Because you taste it.
Well, so that's taste it. I want to taste it in my belly.
And there is the professor's mutant power. He has taste buds in his belly. Excellent.
All right, so we have a lot of stuff to get to. There's a big week on Disney Plus the last couple of weeks. We have 2 episodes of Andor we want to talk about, some She-Hulk, and we had Werewolf by Night drop. So what we want to start with, let's get Andor out of the way, because I feel like that will be the quickest conversation here. Johnny, I know you're caught up.
I am. I'm all caught up. I don't get the show. I don't get it.
Caught up.
Because he's the guy Andor, the actor, eminently watchable. Absolutely.
Diego Luna.
Yeah, he's great. But I must be missing something. If someone's a bigger Star Wars nerd than me, please feel free. I have no interest in the cop that got fired because he's now living back with his mother. Not interested in that subplot. Is there even a plot? I'm kind of interested in the whole Mon Mothma thing because it has a bigger bearing down on everything. And the security, the woman's imperial officer. Do I care? No, not really. Not really. Stick with the main action and action's a bit of a misnomer, right? Because I don't think anything's happened. I think when a TIE fighter flew over the fields once, I got really excited. Ooh, TIE fighters! But and the other thing that kind of knacks me a little bit is that Disney's overuse of the same actors.
Sure.
So,
what do you mean, like Stellan Skarsgård?
Yeah, and amongst others. So you've got him. He's in Thor. Plays the same character in the first Avengers movie and stuff. It's like I get it, but I want to watch a Star Wars show. I don't want to be like American Horror where the same actors keep turning up doing different roles.
Yeah, it kind of takes you out. Out of the story
a little bit. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The guy's a good actor and everything, but if I have to spend up watching a show and end up going, oh yeah, I remember him from when he played, or oh, I remember her when she was in. I'd say no. Come on, Disney. Come on. I know these are on multi-picture deals and stuff, but come on. But no, and something needs to happen, and I think is there one episode left?
No, this is a 12-episode season. We're not even halfway through.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, if this was only 1 or 2 episodes left, you'd be like, oh, something better happen before the end. But
so then these long simmering subplots are not even plots. They're going to come round at some point. So,
well, Lucas, I know that you bailed, but is there a reason that you bailed just because nothing's happening? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I felt like Disney had figured out a formula, right? It was a lesson learned from Rogue One, whereas, yes, you get the Star Wars freaks who love that inner working stuff, right? And even what was the name of the one about Han Solo before he was actually Han Solo? What was the name of that?
Solo.
Right, right. And nobody outside of Solo, the Star Wars freaks cared about Solo either, right? So I felt like with Mandalorian, they had learned a lesson, right? Like, hey, first of all, you gotta hang part of it off of a cute, very cute character, so that people could learn about the universe, and care about the universe as they're learning with this very cute character. Then they followed that up with the Princess Leia thing, right? Of her little series, right? And it was like that did very well. My wife liked it and everything, but this Andor stuff, right? I don't care how cute this Andor dude is supposed to be, nobody's caring about it right now. Nobody outside of uh, speculators and freaking hardcore Star Wars freaks are freaking loving this thing right now. And that's a shame because I do love and I do care about the Star Wars universe. It's just like, man, after the first two, and I still have no idea whether I watched the third one. I feel like I'm telling you, I think I watched the third one. I just have no idea what the hell what happened in it. It's like, and, you know, like it feels like at some point I turn it on and then it just becomes nothing but Android, or excuse me, but background noise for me to go do something else.
Yeah.
All right, and I feel like between the second and the third, I've literally tried to watch it 5 to 6 times, and either I've fell asleep or I got bored and I went doing something else. So I barely remember what the heck was going on in those episodes. So after that, I'm not I'm not a glutton for punishment, right? So I'm just gonna freaking, maybe I'll wait till like most of them come up, or I'll wait till you guys will tell me, hey, something happened, like so and so showed up, and then like they even tried at one point. I was talking about the cuteness. They tried, right, with that little robot, the little red robot. I remember that.
Yeah.
I barely remember that, but that's just not enough, man. Come on.
I've got. Can I just piggyback on one of the comments that Lucas mentioned? I'm the complete opposite. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mandalorian was good, and the Baby Yoda character was fun and all that. But I don't like it when Star Wars does this whole cute thing. I don't watch Bad Batch purely because it's kid-centric. There's a mysterious kid with super secret powers who could be a clone, who could be a clone of a Jedi. You know what? I watched 2 episodes, and when the kid becomes the focal point, done. The thing that made Star Wars Rebels different, because it started off with a kid being in that, is that the cast was far more sketched out. You know, you're interested in why there's a fallen Jedi Knight. You're interested in, the shaggy looking character, which was based on the original concept for Chewbacca. You know, you're interested in all that stuff. Don't give me cute. I get that Star Wars is in for kids, or the films are. Excuse me, but
Bless you.
Thank you. But no, there's got to be something. There's got to be something in the Star Wars universe for us older fans, and unfortunately, stuff like Solo movie and Andor, that's what we've got. Rogue One, movie-wise, fantastic, love it. And you know what? I just wish something more would happen in this show.
So I have a few comments. So I think this show so far is Star Wars' attempt at Winter Soldier. Because I think that they're trying for a more adult theme film, not aimed at kids, trying to tell a more overarching story that maybe we're just all not getting yet. But there's the one of the other problems that I have is what Disney's attempt at Star Wars in this particular series is trying to make it more like almost feeling like this could be happening on Earth. I mean, they had this scene, and Johnny, you remember the scene where the security officer that got fired is sitting at the kitchen table or like a diner booth with his mom, and she's giving him breakfast, and he's eating crunch berries.
Yeah,
he's eating crunch berries with a spoon and a bowl with the only thing that made it Star Wars was blue milk.
Yeah, and Brew's blue milk special.
Yeah, it took me out of the entire scene because I wanted to see what kind of spoon he was using. If it was an actual, like maybe like a Star Wars type spoon, or was it like a spoon that you would have in your kitchen drawer? And I was like, oh, it's just a spoon. And I wasn't Star Warsy at all, and it took me out of the whole entire scene. And then of course I'm sitting there going, "Is that Captain Crunch he's eating?"
I didn't understand the whole thing. The fact that he rocks up at his mum's or whomever it is, gets a slap and then gets a hug, and then she does nothing but give him grief all the time. Right. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on? What? Is it supportive? Is it not supportive? Is it? Obviously, he's got a bit of a hit on for Andor, but
yeah. And we got a sex scene which we had never seen in Star Wars before.
Where?
In the first episode, right? Like but we'd never seen that before, so that was like the instant, like, oh, this is going to be more of not your dad's Star Wars movies, but aimed at your dad now. And then the last thing I have, and this is my biggest complaint about the show: where the hell are all the aliens again?
Yeah.
There are there's the big, like, all the rebels, there's like that seven person cell that he's in, and the biggest the diversity is great because there's you get some white guys, you get some black guys, you get some girls, the Indian girl, you got a big diverse cast in the rebels, but there's no aliens. And we've known the Empire, the biggest issue with them is they're all racist, and all the alien races are all slave races. Why isn't there any kind of aliens in this rebel sect at all?
Yeah,
we've seen maybe a couple of aliens in the background through this whole 5-episode show, but it's basically there's been nothing. Give me a Wookiee in the background or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's only been 5 episodes. Oh, it feels like only 5.
But these 5 episodes are longer than your Mandalorian, which is like a half hour, right? These have been like 45 to 50-minute episodes.
What is it? That brings up an interesting point, Professor. What is it about the timers of the show? Because you watch, it says 54 minutes for an episode, so you set aside 54 minutes. 15 minutes of credits, of which there's no hidden scene, and you spend like 15 minutes skipping through like this to see if there's anything.
Like, this is over already? Oh.
Why do I need 10 to 15 minutes worth of credits?
Because supposedly they're running credits in like 4 different languages now. Have you noticed that? That's why it's so long. Well, they run it in English, and then they run it in Spanish, and then they run it in Chinese, and then and just like, wow. Then I was wondering if they're going to start running it in Japanese and run it backwards or something.
So you would have thought the algorithm could recognize where you are in the world through your IP address. And therefore, the appropriate credit would play accordingly.
You'd think. I don't know. So okay, so far with Andor, we have Lucas, who bailed out.
I'm on the fence.
Who was waiting for something to happen, and I'm thinking they're trying to tell a more adult story that's going to pay off. But the other thing I heard is that this is going to be a 5-season show. Like they're gonna have 5 seasons of this. If they're gonna have 5 seasons, and this is just the kind of the ramping up to a bigger, better storyline, I think that this might be the beginnings of something great. Yeah. But I'm waiting for something to happen, and I'm with you.
I'm worried about a 5-year plan for the show, because sooner or later, Darth Vader's going to have to get involved, and then
you think so? Yeah.
Then that's when all the continuity goes out the window. But I don't know. Trying to set 5 years worth of stories before the Rogue One is just. They've already mentioned the season construction at the planet where the Death Star is made. So they've already mentioned that in one of the episodes this morning that I watched. So and on top of that, you've got to think, if you go back to Revenge of the Sith, the last scene is Darth and Grand Moff Tarkin watching the Death Star getting pulled together. So you've got to. The window doesn't feel if 5 seasons equates to 5 years.
Yeah, well, the at the beginning in episode 1, it said 5 years before Star Wars. Yeah. So I think that if each season is a year, then I guess we'll see. Yeah. But anyway, let's jump into She-Hulk. We had 2 episodes of She-Hulk, and let's see. The first episode was the I guess the group therapy session episode. Yes. And then we had episode 7, which was the Daredevil episode. And Lucas, let's start with you, because I think this show is trying to put its best foot forward at the end. We're finishing strong here.
Right. I mean, look, I know a lot of people have been out on She-Hulk, right? Because for whatever reasons, ever since the Madison episode, people have been out. People loved that episode, and then we haven't seen her since. And then now we've gotten all this other side quest episodes. I do like the one where she went to the retreat and everything, and she got to look to herself. And it was the problem is that once again, I'm looking for these, because remember, this is supposed to be remember that 80s or 90s law show? Hey, it was supposed to be one of those, and then she
LA Law.
Right, yeah, LA Law, fucking
Ally McBeal.
Law and Orders, special crime units, any of that stuff. We were supposed to get that feel, and then eventually they have a reason for her from that case to actually go out, and we're not getting that anymore. We're getting all types of wild, random stuff, and it has totally lost its feeling on that one. So we just gotta hang our hat on Jen and her acting and her thing, and just to see us through. And that still hasn't been working for people. So people were actually talking about this very last one as that they loved Daredevil. So they loved this very last one. And that was it. So this is such a I've loved this whole ride so far, but I could totally see that they just went off the route on this one, on this whole thing with it. Oh, it's like you guys you guys set a plan. You literally publicly came out and said you had a plan, and you were gonna do like you did with WandaVision. Remember WandaVision? They did the family shows, and then they just did a homage each one. Look, if that was your plan, you got to freaking stick with it, man. So it's gonna be scary. So,
Johnny, what do you think?
I liked the retreat episode also because it helped move the subplot over the blood element across. I don't like the actress that plays Jen at all. I didn't like her in Orphan Black. I find her wooden acting is terrible. I don't like the fourth wall break at any time. That said, the final episode, I liked seeing Leapfrog because I remember him from the Amazing Spider-Man comic book, so that was quite fun. Daredevil. Let's talk about the Devil in the Room. Daredevil. This is a different type of Daredevil than you'd expect to see from the original Charlie Cox show. And I've got a load of friends who are kind of up in arms about this. It's not my Daredevil. Right. What I'll say to you is this. For everyone who bitches about how this isn't your Daredevil, and you're telling me that Daredevil's better than Batman, can I just point out that in his 80-odd years of existence, Batman has been a killing vigilante, a camp crusader, a Dark Knight detective, somewhere in between, and he's a bit of a bat god know-it-all right now. If Batman can show different sides of his persona and be interpreted different ways and still be successful, maybe Daredevil should be as well, or could be. And if you think that it's not working for you, well then, you know what? Daredevil's not a great character as Batman is he really, to be fair? There you go. I quite liked the lighter side of Daredevil, to be fair. I don't think that in a million years he'd sleep with Jen. Like that shark is a jump shark, but it fits the tone of the show. So something's got to give. You can't have dark vigilante. What I will say is I was disappointed with the fight scenes of Daredevil. Obviously, the Charlie Cox show from Netflix has a little bit more groundedness when it came to the fight scenes. this time around, it was CGI all the way. But it was good seeing Jen super suit, I suppose. But I'm sticking with She-Hulk. There are times where I quite enjoy it, and there are times where I absolutely hate its stinking guts. So it's an interesting little juxtaposition for me.
I think that the show is finishing strong. I think the last 2 episodes were the best episodes of the series yet. I can see where it's finding its footing and where it's the niche it's filling for me in the overall MCU is the fact that they're introducing all these D-list level characters that we would never ever see in the movies, but kind of tickle my funny bone as far as Leapfrog. I never thought we'd see Leapfrog. And then in the episode before when we had Porcupine, come on, that was some funny stuff. And Elegila and Man Bull, I thought that these were characters that were just made for this show and for She-Hulk to realize that this is the almost like the sub level of what's going on in the MCU, and I am loving it. And the last episode with Daredevil, I think this is the first time we've seen Daredevil interacting with other super beings other than Luke Cage and Iron Fist, which everything was played pretty straight in Netflix, right? So here, I think they did have to MCU him up a bit because he's a superhero, so he needs to be quippy. That was
started on that.
Yeah, but let's look at traditional Daredevil back in the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. Daredevil was pretty quippy himself. He was kind of like the street level Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man's pretty street level. So I actually did enjoy this episode. I think Daredevil and She-Hulk ending up in bed together made sense for the episode because let's face it, Daredevil as a character is kind of a man slut himself, and they kind of fit together. I enjoyed it.
Nah, I always think he's a little bit more. I thought he'd be choosier, to be fair.
I don't think so. I mean, if you read Chip Zdarsky's run, he's pretty loose. So
yeah.
So anyhow, I think the show is really, really good, and I didn't expect to like it this much, but I think the overall tone fits with Dan Slott's vision of the character, John Byrne's vision of the character, which is really kind of what I liked back in the 90s, and 10 years ago when Dan Slott was writing it. I think it's great. And I think that it's fitting a hole that I didn't know I needed in Marvel, so I like it. So let's change the tone and go to Werewolf by Night. I thought this was super original. I loved the black and white, almost like homage to the old serials back in the 50s. I think this was great.
Johnny is obviously not a fan of horror movies.
Johnny, what did you like?
I like the 50s style horror movies. I thought it was great. The thing for me, there's several things in this that didn't work for me. Elsa Bloodstone. Yeah, that's not the character that's in the comic books. I'm really sorry. The character in the comic books super competent, doesn't get fazed by stuff. This one's just like a shrieking woman. I can't believe they've two-sided. For all the grand statements to make about being diverse and putting societal changes in place, with a strong character like She-Hulk, they revert back to type with a, oh my God, screaming woman! Oh no! What's next? Doctor Who assistant.
So I would normally agree with you on that one. However, and because I've met several women who are power brokers in like the real world, right? But you get them home around their parents and then their familiar thing, and it is game over. They got.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that, but she's supposed to be a monster hunter in her own right, and yet when she's confronted with a monster, she turns into a screaming save me type of character, and that doesn't seem striking me correctly. Also, the Man Thing scene where he's chasing. I can't remember if he's chasing her or chasing his best mate, but they're chasing through the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Avengers movie, please. It's the same scene from Scarlett Johansson being chased by the Hulk, practically much frame for frame. Come on, Marvel, give your head a shake. Do something original, eh? The best thing was Man Thing. Man Thing was the best thing in the whole thing. The rest of it was just I take it or leave it. I now leave it. My wife and I watched it last night, and we looked at each other at the end of it. I was like, "Yep, yeah." So I would have liked to have seen some sort of further indication of Midnight Suns, or some sort of Blade involvement, or even some Ghost Rider involvement, but no, not a thing. Missed opportunity. Thank you.
So the connections to the Midnight Suns and all the other stuff is there's a wall where they had one of the fight scenes where the guy was a wolf, and on the walls there's all types of stuff on that wall, to include vampires, to include mummies, which would be your Moon Knight, and all these other monsters and aqua monsters and all the other stuff. So they're trying to tell you that all these other characters are coming, and it's been foretold that these guys are coming. But it's supposed to be all part of one narrative. I just don't know what that narrative. I was hoping we would get that narrative, what that's supposed to be, but I guess they're not ready for that yet. Other than telling us a little bit of how the stone works, but in that vein, they missed telling us that the werewolf guy has a stone as well. So I guess we'll see what's going on with that.
And also, I mean, I'm a little bit bored with stones.
Sure.
You know, it's like you've got the Infinity Gauntlets, you've got in the Loki show, they've like, oh, look, they open the drawer and there's shed loads of different Infinity Gauntlets kicking around, just Infinity Gems just sitting around. And now you've got another red one that can force a reality on someone. Oh, wait, force a reality on someone that's a red stone. I wonder what that could really be. I don't care because it's like 2 years too late. I'm sick of it. I'm up to my back teeth. Right? Move away from the goddamn Infinity Gems. Thank you. There you go. Sorry.
Well, I enjoyed this because it was a one shot. I don't know if it would have worked as a show, but as an hour-long type of Halloween special, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I thought it was super campy, and it was aimed at like or made in the fashion of the old style horror movies. I thought that some of the shots were really pretty good. I like the characters they introduced. I like Jack Russell. You know, I want to see more of him. It was kind of weird, and how that ended at the end with the somewhere over the rainbow and everything turned into color, and then you see Man-Thing and Jack Russell just kind of, you know, that they're kind of teaming up. I like that the fact that they didn't make Man-Thing the mindless beast that he is in the comics. They actually kind of gave him kind of a bit of a brain. You see him playing solitaire and giving Jack a cup of coffee at the end, which I thought was a nice touch and a nice change for the character. I like the fact that with Man-Thing, he got he knew his fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. You know, how he burned up a couple of those people. I thought that was really cool. And Lucas mentioned the heads in that room, and what I was really looking for, and I think I saw a couple of like Jack Kirby type monsters from like those Where Monsters Dwell or Journey into Mystery, like before the Silver Age started. I thought that was a nice touch. So I thought this was good. I like the introduction of the Bloodstone. I know it's another MacGuffin, Johnny. Sorry, but it is what it is. I agree with you, Johnny, about Elsa Bloodstone. She should be more of an ass kicker than she is in this. But since this is her first appearance, maybe she's going to become that later on if they ever bring her back.
I thought it was established that she was already supposed to be an ass kicker. That's why she got invited to the hunt in the first place. But
I think she got invited because she was Ulysses' daughter, and that they had mentioned that she had gotten thrown out because she didn't want to follow her dad's footsteps. That's how That's how I figured it. But anyway, I enjoyed it. It was a nice Halloween thing. It's something that wasn't really expected. I don't know if they'll ever bring it back into fold it into the regular MCU, unless maybe we see it on a television set or something.
Well, I'd rather watch Michael Jackson's Thriller video than watch this, because at least that's got some dancing going on.
Oh, jeez. All right, so let's take a break, and we will be back in just a minute. All right, make sure to check out Crisis in the Toyverse and all the other podcasts that we have here on Undercover Keeps. All right, we're going to jump into Ant-Man number 4, and this is this is a 60th anniversary celebration of the first appearance of Ant-Man. Writer is Al Ewing, artist is Tom Riley, colorist Jordi Belair, with letters by VC's Corey Pettit. And if you don't like it, blame the editors, Kat Grigorovich, Darren Shan, and of course, C.B. Cebulski. This is the final part of this anniversary celebration, and they bring together all of the Ant-Mans that have been running around in the Marvel Universe with the introduction of a new Ant-Man, Zane Asghar, who is the Ant-Man of the far-flung future. And they bring back Hank Pym, Scott Lang, and Eric O'Grady. And, you know, they come together to put an end to the All-Father Ultron, who has taken over Asgard and absorbed all of the Asgardian power for himself. It was really kind of a hodgepodge issue of what the heck's going on. Oh, hey, there's another Ant-Man. Every couple of pages, they're pulling an Ant-Man out. It was interesting. I like the future Ant-Man, Zane Asghar. I like his design because he looks kind of more like an ant. The helmet does. But the first couple of pages, they actually, you know, and take this as you feel, but would they have to spend 3 pages kind of telling you about all this fictional stuff that happened that never really happened to catch you up on what's happening in this issue? I think it's kind of it kind of muddies the waters a little bit, in my opinion. You know, because by the time Asgard Ultron shows up, I'm just like, okay, well, how's Ant-Man gonna kick this guy's butt, right? But of course, by the end of this issue, you figure out how they do it. And the big problem, and here's what I was hoping that they were going to do in this 60th anniversary celebration, was actually bring Hank Pym back, which they don't. And that was my problem with the whole thing. They even go through realizing that Hank Pym is part of this All-Father Ultron, and you know, say, hey, you know, if it was me in there, you know, the first thing Hank Pym would do is separate himself using the power. And you know, he says, huh, what? And then I'm like, okay, but then he didn't do it. Or did he? I don't know. Maybe behind the scenes. But I thought the storytelling was good. I love Al Ewing as a writer, and that's his strength, is being able to kind of pull from all the stuff that's happened before and be able to catch you up. But I don't know if it worked in this instance where he was actually making all the stuff up that supposedly happened in Thor number 4770 or whatever that was. So I I liked the storytelling. It was fun. You know, I had fun reading the issue. And then, of course, at the end, they beat Ultron by diverting him back in time and disintegrating him pretty much. I thought that was kind of an easy out, but I really, really, really was hoping that at the end of this issue we would have Hank Pym running around in the Marvel Universe, and we don't have it. So, for all intents and purposes, it was a fun issue. I just wasn't really happy with the ending. What did you think, John?
Well, I tried to read this book. And part of it is that I'm going to sound like a really grumpy person, and I really do apologize. I'm not a big fan, ironically, of the dudes that can shrink. So, and that's across the board. I'm not a big fan of Ant-Man. Wasp is the only interesting character for me, and that's when she was in charge of the Avengers. Even DC's version of their shrinking dude, the Atom, not interested. Never in a million years. The whole idea is just it's never caught on for me. The other part of this is I have no idea what's going on because not being a fan, I don't read the book, right? I could have done without. I agree with you, Professor. I could have done without the pages of meanwhile previously on. I was like, ugh. I'm gratified to know that is like previously we haven't told you what has gone on. So
right.
Rather than the congratulations, you bought the last 3 issues and we're going to spend all this time telling you what you should have read anyway. The art just kind of threw me massively. I just didn't enjoy the art. And I normally like Jordie Bellaire's colours. I think she's fantastic. I don't think the art style really helped with how great she can be as a colorist. So yeah, this is like a hard what the hell pass for me, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Lucas, anything positive to add?
Positive. I mean,
I'll be positive about the next book. I'll be positive about the next book. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is you ever been sitting in a meeting and you're like, man, this whole meeting could have just been sending an email. That's the way I feel about this book. All right. We didn't need this book. We didn't need this particular series. We didn't even need this new character, Zane Ashgar, who is the new Ant-Man, future Ant-Man. Some of the art, I disagree with Johnny. Some of the art is actually pretty good. But then it's overwrought with the words, too much detail, a lot of words going on to explain, and there's like nothing actually happening in the panel. That's what freaking gets me. It's like, oh man, they've got a whole bunch of words, and I'm looking at the panel, and there's like nothing going on. Like there's a bunch of guys standing around, a bunch of guys, just like with their hands doing like this, doing like this, the guy doing like this, and it was like, okay, that's what people are paying their $4 for people to stand around. And then you get to the end, and then they do they wave their fingers, and then all of a sudden the guy's freaking gone. So it's a disaster, and like this close to the Ant-Man movie coming out, I have no further clue on how Ant-Man freaking works. I have no further insight onto how Ant-Man or Pym particles freaking works, which is a disaster because this is Al Ewing. Al Ewing has been doing really well over the last couple years. He absolutely revolutionarized the how Hulk worked. So it's like, okay, maybe he could work his magic on Ant-Man. Nope. Nope, not working right now. So maybe just give him something else to work on, and not a C-list superhero. And I get it. Ant-Man from the 60s was a big Marvel thing, but without further insight, like, so for instance, right now in the scientific community, quantum computing and qubits and crypto, that's the big thing nowadays, right? But we're still working on and messing around with Pym particles that has nothing to do with nothing, right? At one point they had us, remember when we had Peter Quinn go off to a magical world after he shrunk down? Remember that? Yeah, they haven't brought that back up. maybe we should have sent Ant-Man back to that world to see how that was going. But nope, we got this other crazy futuristic Ultron Asgardian stuff. And you know how the readers and the speculators have answered that and give feedback. We don't care about any of this stuff. So
and that's my point exactly. You know, the whole idea of this whole shrinking down stuff, Lucas, you're absolutely right. For me, you shrink down into a new universe, and it's like you never go back. It's the same motif over and over and over, and I don't know. It's just the whole premise just doesn't work. But I will say this: I do love it when Lucas gets all real world science on comic books.
All right.
Dude,
well, no, look,
the
the only question that anybody really cares about is when he shrinks down. If he goes inside the crevice of Thanos and he blows back up, would that have killed Thanos? And they answered that, and the boys they showed what happened. So
right.
that's the only one.
I'm always confused, and this is a movie thing rather than a comic book thing. I'm always confused when the sort of like throw a pin particle at a building and the building shrinks and everything inside it does as well. And yet the disc is only like year big. It's the same disc size if it was a person. And I think to myself, well, how's that pin particle managed to shrink absolutely everything in the building? You know what I'm saying? It's like a great big skyscraper and down like that. You'd think it maybe does the building, but not the interior. And that's what always bothers me about Ant-Man.
Well, unstable molecules. So it's an explanation for everything.
Buildings are made out of unstable molecules. Well, maybe the back.
Well, yeah, they are. It's just it takes them because it just takes them longer to become to disintegrate. So, for instance, like uranium is an unstable uranium is considered an unstable atom, but it takes 235 years for it to become lead.
See, I forgot I was talking to Lucas, the sci-fi comic guy.
hey, trust me. Trust. Hey, I am that guy. I'm reading the comics and I'm like, how does that work? And I go, that's why it takes me so long to read these. I'm like, how does that work? Is that even possible?
Catch our upcoming sister program starring Lucas called The Rabbit Hole. All right. Let's move on to Edge of Spider-Verse #5. And Lucas, I'm going to ask you to take this away, please.
No, not that cover. Can you put the other cover on? The regular cover, please.
The regular cover.
Do you have the regular cover?
I do have the regular cover. Stan. Okay, I know exactly why. I know exactly why you wanted to bring that one up.
I can put it on if I've got it if you want it.
Give me 3 seconds. Okay.
Hey, what's Lobo doing in a comic book from Marvel?
Well, I didn't even catch that, but all right. Anyway. All right, Lucas.
Yeah,
catch us up here.
Yes, sir. So, Edge of Spider-Verse #5. It's got a plethora of different stories. Hunter Spider, written, probably done by Dan Slott, script by J.M. DeMattei, art by McLeod, Jim Campbell, color artist, and Joe Caramanga. And then Web Weaver that one was written actually by Steve Fox, art by Kay Zama, Brian Reber. Same thing for the letterer as Joe. Silly Spider, that one was written by Phil Lord. Dave Lopez is the artist. Letters by Joe Caramanga and Chris Alopoulos. Different cover artists. I think there was about 5 different freaking cover arts. The speculators are just kind of shrugging their shoulders on this one right now because we don't know how to feel about this one. So here's what's going on. What people need to understand right now. So there was this god called the Wasp, right? That was from ancient Egypt.
Before you get into this, Lucas, you can't mix science and religion. That's not a thing. You know that, right?
A religion is just a part of science that just hasn't been explained yet.
Oh, that's right. Damn it.
And and there are plenty of people that get the religion wrong. Just how people get the science wrong, people can get the religion wrong. Like
fair enough.
Like Albert Einstein, he got how the world works wrong. That's why those three guys won the Nobel Peace Prize this week. So, but yeah, so there was this god that was had the the wasps as her amalgam, and she got pissed off at her little sister because her little sister gained favor with the greater gods. So she decided that at one point she was going to curse spiders and send all these wasp totems to kill all the spiders throughout all the universes and all that other stuff. So, in 616, to include all the other universes, all these wasps are attacking all these other spider totems. And that's what we've been seeing for the last 4 to 5 different issues, right? So even Spider Ham got caught up, man. Freaking, it's just weird. So in this one, the main thing that Marvel has been advertising is like, hey, the first gay spider, man, right? Which is weird because at one point I think people forget that Miles Morales was actually supposed to be gay, but I guess that's not a thing anymore.
I just want to say that was so bad for that story with in this book about the gay. I didn't realize they were gay until halfway through the book. I was like, oh, he's supposed to be a bloke. All right, yeah, get it. Oh.
But it was kind of funny the way they opened this up. A tarantula. So you got Craven the Hunter, but he's like a normal bloke, and he's out there in the woods doing his normal bloke thing. Just hanging around the fellas. Hunting big game, and all of a sudden this tarantula comes out of nowhere, grabs him, and Craven bites the spider. This big ass freaking spider. That's disgusting. First of all, how much hair and all that stuff, prickly hairs on a spider. I'm not doing that. So he now becomes the hunter spider with like the 8 spangling legs and all that other stuff. So this would be his first appearance to that. And then at some point also they introduce this other spider who is a very spiffy dresser. I guess that's what they want us to feel. Feel like he's very fluid. As
he's
far as what right. So his name is Cooper Cohen. This is going to be his first appearance, and then his boyfriend is a gender swap Silk, which I think is interesting. And the reason why that's interesting is because Silk is supposed to be the bride, right, in this situation, because every totem has a role, and one's supposed to be the weaver, one is supposed to be the bride, and one is supposed to be the destroyer, the vampire. And the reason why that's interesting is because the thing that was supposed to be out there killing all the spiders at one point was the Morlans, right? I think people keep forgetting that they were supposed to be. That's the whole part of the web weaver thing. So now they're trying to change it from the Morlans, the Wasps is the big threat now, and that's stupid because just a year ago we had they were trying to bring the Morlans back. So whatever.
Don't spoil the next book though, will you?
So yeah, there's this new spider, and he's supposed to be a very snappy dresser, but he dresses like he's from the 1770s Victorian age. I don't know what's going on with that. But I would say the bigger storyline is there's this other weird, it's towards the end, silly spider, and it was supposed to be a cartoon, and somehow they pluck him from this cartoon into the 616 reality to go help them fight these wasps. And the reason why I bring that up as being really big is because on the 1 and 25, that silly spider is the main thing on there. So they plan on doing something with this freaking character. It was a hidden art until the last day. In fact, I got it, and it's oh, that's Ozzy. No, the So I don't know what they want to do with this, but this looks like what they've been trying to do with this whole series is trying to bring the characters and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does it read? It absolutely sucks as a read, right? It's like it's as messy. It's as messy as it gets, right? It's not terrible, but it's just messy. Like, okay, whatever. This is a buy it to collect it, put it in your bag and board, and then shut it away. Don't ever look at it again until somebody says, "Hey, this is actually worth anything," right? And that's it. I'm putting that out. Don't buy this thinking, "Oh, I'm going to read this. I'm going to have a good time reading this." No, you're not. No, you're not. There. In fact, just this cover right here, freaking pisses me off. Like, okay, I guess that's what we're insinuating, that all gay guys are feminine like that, and they got to do the yeah. Come on now. But it is what it is. What did you guys think?
I would argue that Web Weaver is too gay for gay people. But go ahead, Johnny.
I question the timing of this book massively. Why are we going to get invested in all these other spiders kicking around the various universes when the death of the Spider-Verse has just started? This is lame duck storytelling from the get-go. I am disappointed. I expected more from J.M. DeMatteis, to be honest. I think that Slott's idea of, why don't we do a Last Hunt style Craven story where he becomes the spider, and then DeMatteis gets involved to do the same sort of writing for that, like the in the monologue. I think I expected more. I thought J.M. DeMatteis was better than that. I don't know. It could be a case of Dan Slott was going to do it, and DeMatteis was like, "Well, you're not going to butcher one of my greatest stories, so I'm going to do it for you." I don't know. But Bob McLeod again, same artist from back then. I guess that put me on a back foot from the get go. Lobo on the cover also knocked me through. I was like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" But overall, I think the comic book industry itself is suffering from a bit of overuse of a multiverse, and with Slots looking to revise the Spider-Verse dramatically, then speculators. I'm not speculating by any shape, way, or form, but I can totally get where Lucas is coming from on this. Why would you speculate on a book about a universe that's coming to an end? These characters might be like one and done. And then where's the collectability in that? Some of these characters should be one and done, by the way, but that's another story altogether.
If anybody thinks that any of these characters are going to like be a breakout, another like Spider-Gwen, I think pretty mistaken. If anything, maybe you see them in the background of the next Spider-Verse movie, and maybe that kicks it up a couple of bucks. But that's
So, Edge of Spider-Verse #4, it's got a shot because they've fully been leaning into the Disney princess.
Yeah.
On that one, and they've had the writer and the heavily lean on. They've got a song for her already. Yeah. Really? So they're definitely trying to do something with that one. But I don't think that's her first appearance though. I got to check on that one. So.
Is Edge of Spider-Verse the very definition of throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks?
Do you know what? I'm not going to say yes or no on that, but I will say this: I would have rather talked about X-Men than talk about this book.
Well, there we go.
And we all know everyone's feeling on Axe.
Yeah, I think that this book is just it's a jam. It's a jam book from the get-go. It's just who cares? You're gonna get 8 pages of story to introduce a new character that, hey, who knows? Maybe 10 years down the road, I might get a kickback because they appear in some movie. It's marketing and commercialism at its highest. I like Dan Slott, but he didn't really write this. He just kind of, I guess, masterminded the whole thing.
That's what that's called.
And with and I was right on there with you, Johnny, about bringing DeMatteis back to do a Spider Craven, a Hunter Spider, whatever the frig they're calling them. And they even threw a couple of panels in there that were reminiscent of Craven's Last Hunt when he was shoving his mouth full of spiders or whatever the heck he was eating. That, I was just like, come on, why are you bastardizing that one of the greatest Spider-Man stories of all time for this? And,
absolutely. And then, in fact, in my notes, I've said exactly the same thing. Definitely, I'm 100% on you. And do you know what the kicker is? The kicker is the name Hunter Spider sounds really cool. You're like,
right? Yeah.
It's like, whoa, that's a concept. A Hunter Spider, that sounds great.
I just,
get one up on the Marlons or something, but nope. This is what we got.
This is what the 2000s have turned into, or the 2010s for Marvel, is just the constant derivatives of the original product, right? And eventually everything is getting so watered down that I don't care about any of it. Yeah. So to me, something needs to change with either you introduce some new characters, introduce something that's going to make me care. I don't care about Spider-Man version 776. It's not interesting to me, and it seems almost like a cop-out. Every time I read something, it's like, I'd rather read a story about Peter Parker, please, not this. I don't care about any of these other characters, and you're killing it for me. And this is not just Spider-Man, so I'm not just calling out Dan Slott. It's everything. Everything has a derivative of it, and even everything you read now is just a derivative of it's not an original story. You can come up with something that happened before that they're just redoing. So anyhow, all right, let's
jump to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah. Unless do we want to skip Spider-Man #1?
Well, do you want to talk about it? I'm just thinking of the time we've got.
Let's go to this 2-minute warning. Spider-Man #1, more of the same from Edge of Spider-Verse #5.
I'll shout Spider-Man #1. You guys know I'm not a huge Mark Bagley fan. The art's all over the place. Can't believe that Marvel actually got rid of one of the elephants in the room in the book by killing a character. God knows what that means down the line. Hope that's not going to stick. But there you go.
Not dead. Not dead.
Hope not. Hope not.
All right, let's get into it. Hulk #9. That was the first
garbage
of Monolith. Yes, I understand, but when you're trying to freaking jump around and try to introduce new characters, this was the thing. People, there's Monolith in there. People just don't care because it's like, okay, lady and a nice, sexy dress with horns. Okay, nobody cares.
I was going to say, who is the girl sitting down there? Like, who's that?
Who's that girl?
That's
la, 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 la. Okay.
But let me jump in something. You mentioned earlier how Al Ewing revolutionized the Hulk, only to have Donny Cates come on the book and fucking destroy it again. Excuse my French.
Right, Donny Cates.
Whoa.
It's his subconscious with the robot and what? Come on.
I was going to say. I was going to ask because I haven't looked at this since we looked at the issue 1. Is he still a super robot?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Pass.
Yep.
Next.
Marvel is teaming up with the MLB for some of these logos, and that's like, okay, whatever. But they are also going to have these Topps Comics Marvel actual comics that'll come out. So keep an eye out for those. They're supposed to be out in August.
So you speculators out there, get yourself finding NFL Super Pro #1 because that's bound to go in price now.
On FLC this week is going to be Local Comic Book Shop Day 2022 Amazing Spider-Man #13 as well as #2, both drawn by Mobley. Fantastic Four Annual has got a bunch of covers that are coming out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 freaking covers, include a 1/400 drawn by Frank Miller, and this one to the left, that is by J. Scott Campbell, which is the anniversary joint.
Yeah, it's surprising because you look at it, it so doesn't look like Campbell.
It looks like Alex Ross.
Yeah. As I was, the one in the middle is by J. Scott Campbell.
Oh, sorry.
The one, I guess the one, yeah. Why don't I not have that on here? But yeah, the one to the right, that one's Alex Ross, and you're right, that one does.
The one on the left is Alex Ross too. I can. 100%.
It's Kirby on. I know that much.
Axe Judgment Day Omega #1. Trust me, this is going to be ignored.
Does that mean that's the last of it? Is Omega the last book?
Until 3-4 months from now when they do some other action judgment shit. New Mutants #98, facsimile edition. You know, as the Deadpool movies getting revved up. Sabretooth and Exiles, one to the right is a 1/25 by Maria Wolf. I believe it, loving the Maria Wolf stuff. Amazing Spider-Man #13, the one to the far right, that is a homage to, there's a GameStop one that was a homage to another one. It might have been like 188 or something like that.
So I've got to say this. I have to say this. Can John Romita Jr. come back on the Amazing Spider-Man, please? I'm sick of the guest artists. Thanks.
Yeah, that's it. He's what is he like? He's retirement age anyway, right? So what's he doing? Like 3 issues and then taking 2 off?
I don't know, but the Accept issue was great. I didn't want to like it, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. But I just want him. I want him back on the book. It's because I like his art. So there you go.
Right. And don't forget that Marvel's going to be doing these 90s extreme Marvel. So just like the the style of the 90s where you had chains and pockets and all this other stuff and like lots of guns. Yeah, pouches, like that's what some of these covers are going to have. And Spider-Man #2. Looks like, I talked to some of the speculators last night. They were not feeling that one in the middle, that 1/25 by Ramos. They're saying, she looks too skinny, that she needs to eat a little bit. They don't know what the heck's going on with that one.
She might not even be in the book. Never mind.
And then Spider-Man Lost Hunt #1. There's a 1/25 by Kyle Holtz. I went over to the far right. X-Men Legends #4, Kevin Eastman, who is one of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's drawn a lot more now, especially for Marvel. So he gets a cover. Marauders #8. Don't know what's going on in this book right now, but there is a 1/10 by Carlini.
Who cares?
Yep. Coming soon on Wednesday, 10/10. Black Panther Unconquered #1. Daredevil #5. There's a 1/10 Chichetto. I don't know why there's a design for it. It's kind of weird, but since when does Daredevil need a hood? Not sure about that.
Well, because what's his face is wearing one. Electro wears one.
Electro wears one, so because my girl wears one, I gotta wear one as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Star Wars has a bunch of books that are coming out this week. Republic Blade, as far as just regular Star Wars High Republic #2. This one is Star Wars High Republic #2, the Stott variant right here. All Out Avengers #2. More multiverse stuff. That's what you're into. Don't know why Doctor Doom needs Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer, but okay. I could have sworn we just went through this with freaking Moon Knight a couple years ago, where he had all that stuff. Amazing Spider-Man
can I just ask, Bud, did you like All Out Avengers?
Yeah, the first issue was kind of like they dropped you into the story, right? And it was
at least they had Avengers.
I liked it. I liked it because there were Avengers in it. Yeah. But I do think they missed the boat, though. They could have had the all gay lineup, if you're going to call it All Out Avengers. Yeah. I think they missed the boat. There's enough of them to have put a team together.
It's action over story, isn't it? That's the hook. But never mind.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. they also could have changed the team up a little bit instead of having the exact team from Avengers.
Well, Spider-Man was in it.
Yeah,
although you couldn't really, and
Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, but yeah, whatever.
The Axe Death Mutants number 3. My favorite out of this bunch was the Simone Bianchi. One to the far right. Black Panther number 10. There's going to be a Torrin Clark, Mortal Command. Daredevil number 4. It's got Luke Cage on the cover, and that one is a 1 in 200 done by J. Scott Campbell.
And that's done for the 50th anniversary of Luke Cage, and they can't give him a special. They just give him a Daredevil.
Just give him a one shot. Yeah, he is the mayor of freaking New York.
Yeah. Well, why can't he get a one shot? At least. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, he's in Thunderbolts. What more do you want?
I'm surprised they let him draw him in that throwback costume with
the
chains and everything.
Yeah, true.
They got a lot of flack just a couple of years ago for that, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't know. Gambit number 4. Ghost Rider number 7. Keep an eye on the story. It's got a lot of weird moving parts that they're trying to get together, and I like each and every single of the individual characters apart. They just got to get them on the same page at some point, and they're taking their time. So I do appreciate that. Ghost Rider number 7, Maria Wolf, and for some reason they've got Spider-Man on this cover, even though he's definitely not in the actual book. Immortal X-Men number 7, Phil Neto. So here's where I really have an issue right now. Namor, Submariner, Conquered, right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different covers.
Wow.
Got to remember. So I get it, right? Hey, let's pump up Namor, but the one that they've got in the MCU that is going to show up with the Black Panther, that is not this dude.
No, it's not. And he's not the king of Atlantis either. He's the king of some other fictional underwater city.
So what are they doing? How about give everybody a treat see on what that dude is and who that dude is? But all right.
That's such a radical change for a character from going from the comics to the MCU. Do you think that they update him in the comic to more reflect him how he's in the MCU?
Well, DC did it, and
I
it was fine.
Oh man, I hope they don't. You talk about having diverse characters. You have a wholly original, diverse character in Namor. Why do you need to re-diversify him? Why? Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I don't get it when DC did it with Black Adam, other than the fact to make him look like The Rock. I don't understand. If you want diverse characters, and we all know how hard it is for new characters to get traction, then why on heaven's earth are you taking the characters that already represent and changing them? It just blows my mind. Sorry.
Star Wars has an EMGist. That's I don't know what's going on with this one. Luke's got the yellow saber, and he's got the I don't know what's going on with this uniform, but okay, go ahead. You do you, Luke.
It's a good cover.
Do you remember the original Luke Skywalker action figure from the 70s? Used to have a yellow lightsaber.
Yes.
There you go. Just saying.
Star Wars number 28, the Christopher action figure variant. So this gets a lot of laughs. Star Wars High Republic number 1, Star Wars Visions, which is built after the series. It was a one shot. Actually, I believe it was on Disney Plus. It was like more of an anime type version. Venom number 11, the title that it's got interesting covers. It's just that nobody cares about Venom anymore right now. Everybody stopped reading it. Another book ruined by Danny Cates. And lastly, Wakanda number 1. It's got a 1 in 100 art germ joint with it. Killmonger looking kind of sexy and everything, and I get it. Whatever. Yeah. But it is what it is. There's a 125 by Clean NetEase Games joint. But all right, that's, gentlemen, was your 2-minute warning made into 10 minutes.
Hey.
All right.
Well, I love the 2-minute one. I absolutely love it.
It's the highlight. We get to see what's coming up that we're going to hate next time. All right. So thank you for joining us on No Prize Podcast. And we will see you again closer to Halloween. And
it's actually my birthday, the next show. Just I want
Johnny.
Banners.
It's your birthday.
Banners and cake, please. Thanks.
Bangers and cake. Is that a euphemism for some really sexy time thing with the missus?
Yeah, that'll be happening later that day.
There
will be fishnets involved, I'm sure.
Jesus.
All right.
Hopefully for the missus, not you, Johnny.
Well, I'm not. I don't want to disturb anybody's thoughts or feelings on that, so I'm just gonna let it go.
All right. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, and until then, stay safe.
Adios.